welcome Legally Speaking. With me, Tarun Nangia. Solicitor General for India, Tushar Mehta, made a very important statement on the issue of deep fakes and what challenges that they pose. He used a very important platform to make that comment. This was the Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association event where he said the rise of social media, artificial intelligence, and technologies such as deepfakes uh, have posed a concern. Indian jurisprudence, which took place, I mean, in the sense, took shape in the earlier era of mass media, particularly print media, will be relooked from the point of view of new emerging modes and methods of communication. I think what the Solicitor General wanted to say that law needs to keep pace with so much change that has happened barely in the past, say about 15 years or so. And we now hear that even highly educated people are being conned using what you can say, what we call deep fake. In fact, we attempted to make a mild fake of Tushar Mehta's comment, which you will watch and you'll realize how easy it is because we spend no money for it. Imagine if somebody uses a lot of money, how believable fakes can be. That small clip will play for you just now, and then we will begin the show.
Tarun Nangia is doing this show on Deepfake, and see, he has made my Deepfake video to promote his show. I am Tushar Mehta, the Solicitor General for India.
Okay, so all of you have now seen the clip, and you saw how easy it's just to make a clip of anyone, and this poses a lot of danger to anyone's image, which can be slandered. Of course, we hear money being taken out, people losing their life savings to deepfake extortion rackets. But I think I have an expert panel who will sort of talk about this. Let me welcome Advocate Nikhil Rohodgi, practices at the Supreme Court of India and the Delhi High Court. I have joining me is Niharika Karanjawala Misra. She works with Karanjawala and Company. Good to see you. Advocate Avishkar Singhvi joins me. He practices at the Supreme Court of India and other forums, including the Delhi High Court. Dr. Abhimanyu Chopra, who also has a keen interest in these technologies, joins me. He's from AZB in Partners. I welcome Abhimanyu on the show for the first time. Good to see you, and looking forward to some interesting insights. Let me at the outset request Nikhil to make the opening comment on this topic. Over to you, Nikhil.
Hi, Tarun. Hello to my esteemed co-panelists. Thank you for having me on the show. The issue you've raised and what Mr. Tushar Mehta has expressed a concern about is of seminal legal and factual importance. In today's day and age, AI is everywhere. Machine learning is everywhere. It's getting more and more difficult to tell what is real and what is not. Earlier, we used to say that, only believe what you've seen with your own eyes. But now I don't think we can even believe what we're seeing with our own eyes right now. For example, the technology is so advanced that if somebody had a video of myself, of me, speaking at maybe another NewsX talk, they could generate what I am saying right now to you with machine learning, even if I didn't say it. So there are a plethora of legal issues that arise. In my view, the issue of deep fakes, in the sense that we are talking about, which is that you get, say, a video or an audio clipping of somebody, and you use AI software to make a fresh video of them, which they've not actually said those things, to make it appear as if they're actually saying those things. I think that's the kind of deepfake we are most concerned with, and that the Solicitor General was perhaps referring to. Now, in such a situation, I believe it's basically an extension of the right to privacy and the right to personality. These two rights have been recognized by our courts, by the High Court and the Supreme Court, for decades now. But now it's being misused in this new way by AI. Now, there is no specific law that deals with deepfakes as of now. There are some sections of the Information Technology Act 2000 which deal with it, and some under the new BNS, the new Indian Penal Code, that deals with it. Now, there is one ongoing case which I came across in the Delhi High Court, that of Mr. Rajat Sharma, the famous journalist, and that is being heard by the Delhi High Court on a regular basis. The Ministry of Information Technology has also been asked to give its responses there, and they have been saying, in fact, they've appointed a committee. And in the most recent order of the 24th of May, 24th of March, I'm sorry, just 3 days ago, they informed the court that the committee has met already a couple of times and that they're considering what to do with this new threat.
Thank you. Thank you for the opening comment, Nikhil. I'll go to Advocate Avishkar Singhvi and what he makes out of why the Solicitor General of India had to be vocal about this. Of course, this issue may be disturbing his mind somewhere, that we are not able to keep up, and of course, the laws need to keep up. And he's been thinking about it and he spoke. What do you, Avishkar?
Thank you, Tarun. Thank you for having me on your show. I commend the Solicitor General for having, flagged the issues of concern, not just to politicians. It cuts across every walk of life today. The reason why it's so important is because it is one of the dastardly effects of technology. And I think today, in today's era, even though we may have the machinery to deal with these issues, the fact that it's instantaneous, it is at the press of a button, it is irreversible, it is almost irreparable, causes irreparable harm. These are the issues why it needs to be dealt with at the preventive stage and not at the ex post facto remedial stage. We may have the provisions in IPC, we have all the provisions, etc. We all have grown up on. I'm not too familiar with the new act, but for instance, the 469, 471 forgery, which also includes electronic content, whether you call defamation, whether you call cheating, public mischief, all of these provisions are all there in the IPC. But in today's era, the fact of the matter is that they need to be dealt with at the technological level and at the stage of prevention, because at these reputations are very fragile. Although nowadays, whenever we see information, we take it with a bucket of salt, because now we are wise enough to verify every piece of information. However, that would be a very useful way of doing it by casting the obligation on the intermediaries and making sure that there is a disclaimer placed on every deepfake video or every video which is genetically AI generated. There are a lot of companies which are in today's era, they are selling their services for deepfake generation. They must be mandated, like in every other country. They have this regulation which says that if you don't, firstly, the user must be registered. So that's the level of authentication. The second stage is that the video that is generated must have that caption, a disclaimer, so that the person viewing it must not take it wrongly. The ramifications are, as I mentioned, could lead to political disorder, political disharmony, could incite violence. There could be huge consequences, and it can be used in elections to swing the effect of elections and the democratic function of every country. So I mean, I'm just saying that
important point you brought in. This election point is pretty important.
Very, very important. Yes.
Good you raised it, because I had not sort of raised that even in the opening comment. I'll go to Niharika. I read a news recently somewhere that daughter calls her father, that she's in trouble, and the voice seems like the daughter's voice, so father transfers lakhs of rupees. Later, we are realizing that the sample had been taken, and so it's dangerous. Your opening comment.
Absolutely, Tarun. And these are scams that happen far more than one thing. So if you go looking for it, you find instance after instance of a panicked parent getting a hysterical call from a child and then a ransom note. And in that moment, you do what the person requires. Everyone has the ability these days to transfer money with a touch of a button on their phone, and they do so because they think their child is genuinely in danger. It sounds like their child, and you are led to believe that that is what it is. That is one point where it can heavily impact and harm the individual. Secondly, as Avishkar brought up, elections. Imagine on the eve of an election, a deepfake of a politician making an injurious comment the religious sentiments of a community. Imagine audio released of a CEO of a multinational company making plans to bribe a government official. Audio of that is leaked. In every way imaginable, deepfake technology has the potential to shake up our criminal justice system and the lives of our individual citizenry. And that's why, if you recall, we discussed it, just the issue of deepfakes earlier this year. And as we had discussed, what is very important is not just that our laws develop in order to deal with these provisions. As Avishkar had said, there is a lot of law already in place. And as Nikhil had rightly pointed out, the Ministry of Electronics and IT has submitted a report just on Monday, I believe, in Mr. Rajat Sharma's case, on how these aspects can be dealt with. But it's also how our investigative bodies adapt in order to handle this, in order to cut through it. It's also how our
Niharika, one quick comment from you. Why do you think the PM spoke about it? We had done a show that time.
yes.
Prime Minister, not Tushar Mehta, our Solicitor General for India, spoke. Why do you think he was forced to speak? Do some worrying facts would have come?
I think, yes, I think this is a cause for immense worry. And I think combined with the fact that the ministry recently put their report out, it must have been something that was playing on his mind. And it must have been something, and he must have taken that opportunity to bring up a germane point at the Supreme Court AOR Association's lecture.
Point well taken. I'm welcoming Vyapak Desai on the show. He had a commitment. He's attending a social function. So, but he's managed to he's managed to so he's from Nishit Desai Associates. He's a senior partner. He's managed to wriggle out and join. Thank you so much for joining. I'll take in my pleasure. I'll take in Abhimanyu and we'll get Vyapak in immediately. Dr. Abhimanyu Chopra from ACB and Partners. This is your subject, isn't it? So, why don't we have your opinion on this issue?
Thank you, Tarun. Thank you for inviting me for this. So technology, everybody, I think on the panel, I know everybody, and they are all aware that technology is a pet peeve. And with technology, when we are talking about deepfakes, it's not about AI, it's not about deepfakes, it's processing. AI has been in the backbone for quite some time. We've had it in our fraternity. We've been using it for social media searches. We've been using for judgment searches. But now what has changed is the availability of the AI available online, free of cost. Like the clip that you just showed, it's how easy it's for creation of a particular video through a photo. And in fact, what Avishkar pointed out is not about just political manipulation, it is also now financial and corporate frauds. We have done matters before the Delhi High Court. You've seen about the Amitabh Bachchan case, the Jackie Shroff case, where the voice and the audios have been taken. There are now AI software that allows a particular gentleman. So in this case, the Bombay High Court for Arijit Singh, they took a voice sample, used Chat GPT to create a song, gave it a background lyrics of a couple of songs, and they made out a new song. In the United States, there has been a particular arrest of an individual who had faceless accounts on YouTube, who had earned $10 million, and he was eventually captured by the FBI. Internationally, it's become a big troublesome effect in the society and at large because of the simple reason it is not traceable. People use faceless accounts for creation of this information. If you have a faceless account, you can decimate millions on these videos over a short period of time, and there's no way of tracking it down. So even in cases where we have seen corporate and actual financial frauds, we have seen a particular person who is well known in the industry, his audio and his video is created through AI. That is then circulated over WhatsApp message. And I'm sure everybody in this group would have received this random group invite for a crypto based account, for an information investment based account. And they will say, yes, I have earned so much money out of it. Why don't you also invest? And we eventually find out that's all a scam. And it starts very lucrative. So the impact of AI and deepfakes is so high. And trust me, if you see my photo, you can see the background, you can see the photo that I've otherwise also uploaded, that you can easily manipulate. And that is why information that you see is not the information you can trust. And for the opening remark, let me point out that it is not just political, it's financial, it's corporate, and it's national security and cyber warfare. In 2023, there was a video which got circulated of a army general which said that please withdraw the troops from Ladakh. And eventually, 3 hours later, it was found out that troops had actually started movement, that there was never such an order given on WhatsApp. That is the level of information that we have used, and that is the amount of sophistication of AI is being used. In fact, just today, Claude AI has come up with a new module which allows you to digitize your pictures and make a picture more, I would say, more verbal. So if I imagine a screenshot of my face and I give it a script, it will actually speak with my mouth movements and not just a lip movement. It is that easy on a click.
That's going to be very dangerous if mouth, because now at least we can make out because the lips don't match what the person is. That's a very fair point. I'll go to Vyapak Desai. If you could sort of sum up what you have experienced of deepfakes in terms of the news you've come across, or some practical examples that you would have witnessed.
Sure. So I think my co-panelists have talked a lot about the deepfakes and the issues around it, right? I think why possibly we are discussing this today is not because there are no existing laws or we cannot create more laws to deal with it, right? Because we have always seen technologies coming and new business models coming, and then law, keeps up with the pace, maybe a little late, but somewhere it catches up, right? But I think the reason why possibly Mr. Mehta and maybe the PM and why we are talking it today is because of the speed and the scale, right? I think what deepfakes and AI technology is doing is at the speed and at the scale at which these frauds can happen or misuse of the technology can happen is something which I don't think people are able to fathom. There is a clear sense of, I would say, threat in the minds of people, that at the speed at which somebody, like everyone is talking about click of a button, you can create a picture, you can create a song, you can create a speech, you can create a blackmail email or a call or a talk or get monies out and whatnot, right? So I think the speed and the scale is what we are not able to fathom. And therefore, I think this whole discussion about how to deal with it. And one thing, in my view, which is good so far as AI and deepfakes are concerned, I think it is not that India is lagging behind or India is the last one to get affected, right? We are getting affected as early or as in parallel to the whole world. I think in 23 and 24, even the US and the UK are still grappling with laws around deepfakes and AI. And so we are. So I think possibly what we would see in the near future is, because this is not like we are catching up. Like if you see what has happened in last 30, 40 years, right? Laws were developed by the Westerns. Let's say earlier it was UK, which possibly, exported laws on contract law interpretation, corporate law, and so on and so forth. Then US took over. And if you see all the securities law, right, they all got exported from US to rest of the world. First they brought in, and then in 2, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, people caught up. I think this is the first time it would happen that most of the countries are going to see, issues related to AI and deepfake in parallel, and we are going to possibly be, formulating laws and regulations as we see forward. And only the last point, and maybe I'll come more in detail when we discuss. But I think we will need laws in all three different categories, right? I think the most important would be prevention. This is the first time I think we will need actually laws to prevent a lot of these issues, because otherwise laws are usually either to protect or to penalize. But I think here protection and penalize is not going to be sufficient, because the speed at which it affects protection and penalization may not be sufficient. So for the first time, we will be seeing a lot of laws in the nature of prevention, and that's what possibly is our experience of how this is.
We'll take quick closing comments now from each one of you, because see, the Solicitor General speaking out is not a normal thing. Senior advocate speaking out makes, because of course they argue their cases. SG speaks, it acquires a certain meaning. A very quick closing comments. Do you think much more to see in terms of laws and regulations on this one? Over to Nikhil Roth.
Yes, I would say so. In fact, I want to just take further what Avishkar mentioned as well about intervention at the technological level, and not wait for a reactive kind of thing under laws, because as we all know, we see it every day. Once something is out, once a person's image, reputation is tarnished, once there's a media trial, then it's all over. You can
Yes.
complain till the cows come home, but it's not going to bring back your personality. Now, on that issue, the uh, ministry has from time to time given advisories to social media intermediaries. And social media intermediaries are, for example, things like Facebook, Instagram, and all. They are now called substantial social media, or I think significant social media intermediaries,
Yes, right.
which under the IT rules have more than 50 lakh subscribers. Now, they interestingly, at the technological level, they are supposed to have mechanisms in place that they can locate where a certain message originated. It's called the identification of the first originator of information, as per Section 69 of the IT Act. They are also supposed to regulate it in the sense that they are supposed to embed metadata into that deep fake or that video, which will, for all time, identify that this is say a deep fake or it's something which has been created by machine learning and it's not an original video. Secondly, I would like to say that the one instance of a specific law on deepfakes that I came across is interestingly called the Elvis Act in the state of Tennessee in the US. It's named after the famous musician Elvis. And of course, the Elvis Act is an acronym. It stands for something else, but it basically came about in 2024 and taking forward from the Personal Rights Protection Act of 1984, which in fact did come about as a result of people using Elvis's image, likeness, and personality to sell their products. So, under this act, there is a specific uh, sort of system which is set up to tackle these things, and personality, voice, all these things are specifically protected. And just giving I mean, the examples of how terrifying the use of this technology can be are legion. But one such more example was that there was a deep fake made of two, I think, top executives of the Bombay Stock Exchange, where it was made as if they're giving advice on what kind of stocks to buy.
And that can be dangerous.
That's so dangerous. Imagine we take insider trading so seriously. If you have somebody like the head of a stock exchange telling you what stock to buy, that could send the stock skyrocketing. Investors could
Point,
lose
point,
tens of thousands of crores overnight.
point,
So this is a very serious issue, and
point.
that's why rightly the Solicitor General expressed the concern. And I'm sure that the authorities and the powers that be are taking this very seriously. Just one last comment. As of now, social media intermediaries are supposed to take down or flag this information within 36 hours. That is
Yes.
the advisory which is given, and that was referred to during the hearing of Mr. Rajat Sharma's case as well. In my opinion, that period of 36 hours is too long. That should be shorter. With all these technological tools at our disposal, if you can find it out, it should be removed in the matter of a few hours.
Point very well
Not
taken.
really.
We've got 6-7 minutes to
Thank
go,
you.
so we'll rush through the comments. Avishkar Singh, you think action, some decisions on the anvil with SG Tushar Mehta talking about this?
Well, certainly, I think there's going to be a lot of action we can expect from the government with regard to,
Yes.
clamping down on these deepfakes. I also think that, currently the regulation does take care of the intermediary regulation in our country does take care somewhat, because it says that it casts the obligation on the intermediary in some sort of manner in Section 3, in Regulation 3, I believe. But, the larger issue is that when banning is not an option, you cannot ban AI today. You have to regulate it. The what manner, mode, and the way in which you regulate it has to balance the interest, because it is a huge money spinner in our country. Ultimately, it's growing, it's getting a lot of business in our country, and people will not be able to ban it. So you have to have a process of verifying who's using these services, how it's being disseminated, and to make sure that it is properly regulated, in that people are aware. Once people are aware, whatever they make of it is their own problem. But once people must be made aware, and that is the main issue at hand. And I think awareness also must be there by way of some advertisements in the television, some advertisements in the local newspapers, etc., so that people are genuinely made aware of these ill effects of the dark effects of technology.
Point well taken, Niharika. One thing you address in your final comment is, deepfakes make it very easy to do transnational crimes. Somebody sitting in some other country may con somebody sitting in India, very difficult. There's no jurisdiction or to get somebody. So do you think all that would also be addressed with the Solicitor General?
Absolutely. The cross jurisdictional aspect is also something that needs to be taken heavily into account. Now, as the ministry said and the committee formed thereon, they are yet to start discussing with victims what way to move forward. So I feel that that will also give a substantial amount of insight, because it will give the aspect of what drew you into the scam and what caused you to fall for it. Now, when we discuss the cross jurisdictional aspect, that does come from a penalizing perspective, and I agree that what we do need to look heavily towards is prevention in the first place. And I think a great part of that is educating people on exactly what this can be and how convincing videos of this sort can be, calls of this sort can be, so that at an individual level we can try to prevent them from falling victim to them in the first place. Because like Nikhil rightly pointed out, if a video of you is released doing something scandalous, doing something suspicious, doing something that would bring disrepute to you, it can be proven later also that it wasn't correct. However, the vast majority of people will still believe that no, there was something there. There's no smoke without fire. And your reputation, once lost, can never fully be regained. In the same way, once you are traumatized as a result of thinking your child is kidnapped and you have transferred away lakhs or crores, whatever your capability, none of that will likely be regained, because within minutes it is transferred to multiple accounts and it's disappeared away. Right?
But
Sorry.
so in a lighter vein,
Yes.
the time any video is out, nobody will believe it because everybody feel it's a deep fake.
And that is also potentially dangerous. That is also potentially dangerous if we all reach the point where we believe nothing that's put out there and we think that evidence of no sort is believable. That is also detrimental to us as a society. So I do believe that regulation, as Nikhil rightly pointed out, encryption of what is created by deepfake technology, by AI technology, that will go a long, long way towards bringing some sort of happy medium to this. Because like Avishkar said, there is no banning it. We do have to learn to live with it, and we do.
Point well taken. Last two comments, Dr.
We'll all be living in the matrix. I just wanted to add soon.
So, Doctor, over to Dr. Abhimanyu Chopra.
So, couple of things, this topic is ever ending for me because there are so many different facets to it. I'll give you one critical example which is happening in the United States, which is the NCII impact in the Take It Down Act. Now, what everybody addresses regarding the fact that we have the IT Act, but IT Act and the rules are conflicting to each other because they have different adjudicating authorities. Barring the fact, I think one of the key reasons why the solicitor is also looking into it, because the Digital India Act is also on the horizon. So they might be adding more penal provisions of how to regulate maybe the crimes and how to look at what kind of trans-border arrangements can be done, including maybe signing the Cybercrime Convention. But let me talk about the Take It Down Act. This is already which is happening, a debate which is happening in the US with regards to people whose non-consensual intimate imagery is being published. Now, this is one impact which we call revenge porn in India, which has a very limited view where people actually have videos and they've just put it online and they're hoping for dissemination. And while the government has two different elements, I think we should also address that. What are the preventive steps if something of this happens to an individual? There is the cybercrime helpline, which also has now a website. If you have never tried it, please give it a whirl because that website is so important to understand in case there is even otherwise information which you feel is personally out there, which you need to block it because the genie out of the bottle, you have to get it back. These are events which can actually use the cybercrime helpline can also address in retracing, talking with the intermediaries to take it down. There are second events for revenge porn. There is another helpline number on the website. If you put in the photo, it will scour through the net and it will actually start sending automation messages to the intermediaries portal to actually take it down under the IT Act. So there are two crucial events which are happening in India as well. So you cannot say it's not something which is not being looked at. People are getting aware about it. Even with regards to digital scams, we have now an automation message on our call that please do not fall prey to these scams. The impact is because the event becomes so real and the person in isolation gets so scared in a normal day-to-day man. In this case, we are all advocates. We are not scared of the cops. We will obviously ask questions. But for a common man who gets a call on a video call and he sees a cop, he's scared. and he won't understand, and he will actually say, okay, I will transfer the money. The key reason how this money is transferred is because they tell them your account is going to be closed right now. We will have to ensure that your accounts gets closed. If you want to transfer something for your backup, for a particular lawyer to be appointed, or for your family, I'm giving you this account number for the time being. If you transfer, this is going to be safe. And the moment you do that, your account completely wipes out. So internationally, we have a different problem also going on, which will also hit India. And that is why we need to be, like everybody is saying, preventive, but also educative with regards to the steps that.
Some good points made. Thank you, Dr. Abhimanyu. But we'll go to Vyapak Desai from Nishit Desai and Associates for the last word.
Sure. No, and I think a lot has been already covered, but just 2 points. One, in my view, this is a technology where I don't think just laws are going to be sufficient. I think we will need a technology to kill this technology. In sense, we will need something which is self-regulatory in form of a technology that if it's an AI video, then it will immediately be maybe green in color or some bulb on the side or whatever, right? I think we will need people to create that kind of awareness and that kind of technology where the real content and non-real content is segregated by its own, right? Because I don't think any human intervention can help this to get sorted, as I was telling earlier, because of the speed and the scale. So I think we'll definitely need that kind of a technology to deal with this technology, and then of course the education and the prevention and so on and so forth, which my other colleagues have already spoken about. And the second thing I think is the source at which this is disseminated, right? I think we cannot follow the content. I think we will have to take into account the source, like what we do with our, let's say, Income Tax Act or whatever, like tax deducted at source. Why are we catching the people who are paying the money to deduct the tax? Because you cannot then trace the money thereafter. So I think somewhere we will have to aggregate the source which is disseminating this information, and try and regulate them rather than regulate the users or the content, because that is not what's going to happen. So we'll have to look at it very differently to deal with this problem.
Point very well taken. I think we'll have to discuss in another show some more on this topic, given how much is there. One final, I think 10 seconds, Avishkar wanted to come in. Over to you, Avishkar, before we end.
I just thought that the way our law enforcement agencies also operate will have to be calibrated appropriately, because they would need a cyber wing or something of that sort. One is, of course, the technology will have to deal with technology. You have to deal with fire, has to deal with fire. So we'll need that. But the law enforcement agencies are not equipped and do not have the requisite infrastructure to deal with it. So that will be that's my closing comment.
So I think it was all in all a good discussion what our Solicitor General said. I think the fact that our Solicitor General spoke about it is important enough for all of us to take note that some big things may be coming. Also, he may be privy to a lot of information that he gets from all over India that we don't know. And that's why he said it. I think we'll want to do some more shows on this. And of course, we look forward to hear from him next what he says. But I would like to thank Advocate Nikhil Rohatgi. I would like to thank Advocate Avishkar Singhvi, Niharika Karanjawala Misra, Senior Partner with Karanjawala and Company, Dr. Abhimanyu Chopra from AZB and Partners. Thankfully, we have Vyapak Desai, who was at an event, but he could join. I'm so happy he could join us. He's from Nishit Desai and Associates. Appreciate all of you could join us, and looking forward to do part 2 of this very soon. But I appreciate that all of you could make time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Nikhil is obviously trying to say something, but
Yeah,
maybe
if I can make one last quick point, Tarun, sorry.
Yeah.
I feel that one more aspect the authorities and perhaps the learned SG should look at also is what is also one more thing that is being done in the Elvis Act that I spoke about in the state of Tennessee, which is that they're going after the people that are making this technology available in the first place. If you and that has to be an ongoing thing. If you can find out people or companies who are making this kind of technology or this app and making it readily available to people, enabling them to make these deep fakes, then that would go a long way as well in nipping this problem in the bud.
Very important point, Nikhil. We'll also take this up again, but thank you for bringing this up. Thank you so much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.